Hey guys, welcome back and thanks for joining us here at Totally Booked Readers. My name is Alyssa.
I'm Kiara.
And I'm Hope. We're three best friends with a passion for reading who enjoy getting together to talk about all kinds of books.
We're just here for the vibes, the good, the bad, and the spicy.
So stick around for the rest of this episode to join us for our book club of Iron Flame by Rebecca Yarros.
Before we start, I just wanted to give a major spoiler warning for both Fourth Wing and Iron Flame. At this point, we have not read Onyx Storm, so anything mentioned about Onyx Storm will strictly be predictions. However, if you have not read Fourth Wing or Iron Flame, you are in danger here. That is your final warning. Okay. So to begin our book club, I would like to point out at the very beginning of the book, the part where it says, "The following text has been faithfully transcribed from Navarian into the modern language by Jacinia Neilwart, curator of the Scribe Quadrant at Basgiath War College. All events are true, and names have been preserved to honor the courage of those fallen. May their souls be commended to Malik."
Amen.
I am terrified.
I noticed that was also at the beginning of Fourth Wing.
Yeah.
Some people predict that means that they're all dead. That is how it ends, is they all die.
And that is something that I think I'm going to block out for now. I have to.
I refuse.
I don't think Rebecca would do that to us, but I also didn't see Liam coming.
Well, yeah, but,
So,
everyone does die, so maybe it's just, long in the future.
But just in the same age as them.
I know, but, their job is not to be scribes, so they finish their journey. Jasenia's in charge of writing it down. They could all still be alive and well.
fingers crossed.
That's what I'm hoping for.
I mean,
or living in that delusional
if only
brain space.
If only we could be so lucky.
We'll see. We have 3 more books. But these 2 kind of wrecked me, so.
Yeah.
Okay, so Fourth Wing ends. We find out Brennan is alive. Not only is he alive, he is a leader in this revolution that's being planned by Xaden, and Violet had no idea.
And she's pissed.
I would be too.
Rightfully so.
I would be too. But at my brother, I would be pissed at him.
Oh my gosh.
I think the anger was very displaced there at the beginning of the book. For that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I have a lot of thoughts about Brennan. I don't trust him as far as I could throw him.
We don't know enough.
He, from one oldest sibling to another, why would he do that? I could never just pretend I was dead. Not only pretend I was dead, but knowing that my sisters were in danger, going to a war college, fighting the wrong war.
And just let it happen.
And just be like, well.
I know he's pissed at mom and has some mommy issues, but, there's bigger things. We gotta put aside the ego.
I just don't understand why they think that their dad was, leaving them hints and, they support their dad and they love their dad. They don't think that their mom was doing the same thing, just from a different angle?
She was probably harsher just as a person, and so you always have mixed feelings when you're growing up, I guess, so we can give them that, but we're talking about the present here. They have a lot to unpack.
That's true.
So,
going into not trusting Brennan, I won't take this full, theory for myself. I think I did see it somewhere. But definitely not trusting Brennan. His dragon is an orange dragon, if I'm not mistaken. And we have Solus, who is an orange dragon. And Jack Barlow's dragon is also an orange dragon. So
I will say,
is there a theme there? I don't know.
That is true. But I will say, are we jumping all the way to the end of the book? Because the last
Gosh.
scene,
Oh,
or one of the last scenes, when he kills Blade, she seemed very manipulated. Like, I felt bad for
Yeah.
Blade in that scene.
Is it Blade or
I
Bade?
think it's Bade.
Oh, shit.
No. Hey, it's a lot of names to keep up with,
It
let me
is
tell
Bade.
you.
Well,
But
But I'm just saying, is that I think that could be like a theory of also maybe why we don't trust Brennan at this moment.
yeah. I mean, we'll keep it in the back of our minds, but I don't know. I just need to get to know him more. We've seen him in small bits. Actually, we saw him a lot in this one. He was trying to be a part of the mix. And then he showed up when he needed to in a lot of different cases, like going with Violet off to everywhere she went off to. Like he was there. So give him the benefit of the doubt, but I think that maybe hope you'll be more prepared for a betrayal than I will, because I'm trying to give him some grace, I guess. I don't know.
I feel like you always try to give characters just a little too much grace.
Too much is crazy. Just the right amount. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I don't like Jack Barlow. I don't give him any grace.
True.
he has no grace.
Mm-mm.
I never
None.
trusted. Nope. When he was acting all nice, like,
Oh, me neither.
never.
Some people online are saying, like, that they think that they're the real enemies to lovers, Jack and Violet.
Oh my god.
Never.
I think that's crazy. That's
You just blew my mind with that, and I just forbid it.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think that he has had a real reason for saving Violet's life when that one scene. And I think the reason is because he's been working with the Venin, and the Venin want her.
They want her, yeah.
They want her alive.
Yeah.
So I think that's the only reason he was there and he saved her life.
It has to be.
It has to be the only reason.
Well, we do have to go back to Bezgaeth. I mean, that's when we first woke up. We were trying to figure everything out. They almost wanted to keep her hostage there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They were voting on whether or not she would be able to go back, or whether they should go back.
But girls got school the next
Girl
day.
has friends.
Yeah, they don't know they're missing. The school doesn't know they're gone at this point.
Well, they know they're missing, but
Well, the leadership at the school, specifically Atos, Dane's dad, like, made all this happen. So he assumes that they died.
Can I just say, when they roll up to what were they calling the death roll that morning?
Yes.
When they roll up back at school.
Yeah,
and they walk in, they're like, no, we're actually not dead. We're right here.
No, they
wasn't
literally
it graduation?
Yeah, they're literally
Yeah.
at graduation, and they literally roll up as they're calling Xaden's name for the death roll.
Yep.
Psych.
It's so great. It was just so amazing.
And it was such like a power move because they had to
pull and steal their faces.
Yes.
Like, wait, what's happening right now? Like the leadership had to get real sneaky real quick to hide some secrets.
Yeah. Where they told selective truths. Or selective, is that what it's called? Or selective truths?
Okay. Yeah.
Big theme this book, let me tell you.
Selective truths. Yeah.
Sure is.
It was kind of in the last book too, because I mean, Violet had no idea, and everyone, her dragons, Xaden, they all knew, but they just never told her, so they weren't really lying to her, but
Yeah. I mean, honestly, it just sounds like another lesson at the college that is kind of like unspoken. Like you have to be good at just kind of reading these things and playing certain people. So
yeah,
she has to learn.
Yes. But literally chapter 3, they roll up from Erasia and they're calling the death roll, and they literally say Garrick Tavis, Xaden Riorson, and then Xaden comes in and goes, well, this is awkward.
Oof.
And boom, they're back. I loved the scene. Okay, so they go through, they convince leadership to let them stay. It's very iffy. Xaden is a master of the selective truths and all of that. And
telling people what they want to hear.
And then they go back to Dane, and Violet says, "Touch me, and I swear to the gods, I'll cut your fucking hands off."
Finger snaps.
It was so good. And then what a good play by Xaden to embarrass him and
Mhm.
make it seem like it's just a matter of, well, she chose me, and how embarrassing for you.
Because now the whole quadrant
Because
knows
now
it.
the whole quadrant knows or thinks that they know what happened,
Yeah.
when in reality,
It was a very good misdirect.
it was a great misdirect.
Mhm.
It was fantastic. And then they think Dane knows what happened at Athbean, and he really didn't.
Yeah.
We'll get into that later
Yeah.
because
Well, because, just notoriously, Hope is a big hater of Dane. And me and Alyssa definitely had a little bit more understanding of where he was coming from, I think. But we needed to see some, just some groveling and or some working to gain forgiveness and all
yes.
that jazz. We knew that that was necessary, and I think Hope came around to it ish.
So the first whole part 1 of this book, I did not trust Dane as far as I could throw him. Like, could not stand his name. Thankfully, we didn't see him much the first part of the book. I don't think, and his name only appeared on our pages very very sparsely, which I was thankful for because you are correct. I could not stand him, but I am I am really feeling the redemption arc towards him if he stays in his lane.
I want them to be friends again.
I do too. They give me the warm and fuzzies when they were translating the journal later in the book.
Yeah. Yeah, you said a few very adorable things, but
Yes.
so it shows me that it's possible, but they have to learn and grow.
Yes. But anyway, they get back to Basgiath.
Mhm.
Xaden is sent immediately to Samara, the furthest outpost possible from Basgiath,
Because of course, why wouldn't he?
and they are each only given a weekend leave every other week. So they have to take turns flying to Samara and back to Basgiath.
And half of the time they don't even get to, like, it's the whole entire world is keeping them apart.
I mean, like, leadership is just not wanting them together at all because they suspect Xaden is following in his father's footsteps,
Mhm.
which he is, but it's for
They don't know that.
good
And-
reason. Honestly, he's the hero, and they're the bad guys in this story.
Yeah, well, in this, we do get some of those long distance relationship representation. So if anyone is dealing with that or has dealt with that, you know the exact feeling of having to say goodbye every time. So that's how, and we were feeling that too. We were like, we want more of
And
them together.
I mean, they had a lot of issues to work out and talk through
Mhm.
that had to go through this long distance also, where they're just stewing in their own feelings and thoughts and not getting to talk about the issues. And I feel like that very much added to the tension because they weren't able to talk about it.
Yes, that is true.
Yes, it was nice to kind of see Violet kind of get back into her role, but I think she really struggled. And I think maybe in this beginning part of the book was the part that I struggled with her most. Because I hear, a lot of people have some frustrations with her throughout the entire book, but I just struggled in the beginning. I felt like she was kind of stuck in that like pity party space.
Yes.
Because she was like, I don't want to lie to my friends and all these things.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes things are bigger than us. And so I definitely felt for her. But I think that she ended up, coming out of that a little bit. But just within these first 20 chapters, it was a little rough.
I completely agree. I mean, so on my reread of this for book club, I remember reading it the first time and I felt like she dragged it on. I was like, when is she ever gonna forgive him? But on my reread, I feel like I got more of her logic this time when I was reading it. And so I understood where she was coming from. I don't think she was completely off base to be mad at him, and I honestly think that she handled it pretty well. But I will agree, she was kind of whiny about the whole not being able to tell her friends thing.
Yeah.
But in my mind, like everything look at how leadership is treating you because you know. Like in my mind, that would justify it enough that I would be like, I don't want my friends anywhere near this mess. I
Yeah.
don't want them being messed with or questioned at all. So to me, it was like, duh, you can't tell them. You have to protect them,
Yeah.
which is what Xaden was doing in the first book with Violet. So coming from that perspective, I was like, he was protecting you by not telling you for the most part until he had to.
I was gonna say, I think it happened the way it should have. Like, she didn't have to tell them. They found out. It fell into their laps, and I think it worked out the way that it was supposed to. It
Mm.
did seem a little rushed, I guess, because I mean, just like Violet was, they were thrown into it, and then just immediately shit hit the fan.
So they
And
had to just kind of
yeah,
roll with it.
yeah. But I think that's the way it should have been. So that way it wasn't put on Violet, because then she would have been so mad at herself and for betraying Xaden.
Mm-hmm.
But they found out, and so she doesn't have to carry that guilt with her.
Definitely.
I agree.
But yeah, I mean, other than that, the only other part I got mad at her about was like the whole first like third of the book. She was not working on strengthening her shields, and she
gosh.
was not working on controlling her lightning. And she's like, "Oh, I should probably do that," but not right now.
She was only talking about what? Researching
Yes.
the wards?
Yes.
Yeah.
Not only the wards, but just like helping with the rebellion. She was so focused on helping with the rebellion, rebellion, trying to figure out what was Xaden doing, that I was like, girl, you are the weapon that can literally take out the venom and the wyvern, and you're not honing it. Like, you can't hit anything.
All swords have to be sharpened.
Why don't you focus on that? It made me so mad that she couldn't aim with her lightning and she wasn't working on it this whole first half of the book.
Yeah, because something so tragic happened at the end of the last book because she was new to it and she
Mhm.
didn't have a lot of control.
She
And
didn't
now the
Right.
1 second or the chance that she has to start learning how to control it, she wasn't taking advantage of that. So that was one of the things where I was getting a little frustrated at her
She also
in the
didn't have the
beginning.
right teachers. They were only trying to force those big things out, the big
Yeah.
strikes out of her. She didn't have the right teachers into honing the control and the small power.
Yeah, which I do agree. However, you know what's out there. You know you need to be able to hit it. So we can practice on our own, girl. You got a dragon.
At
You can
least
fly
5
to a
strikes a
mountain.
day,
I
huh?
know, right?
But she only knew those big strikes. She didn't know how to get the control, the small, the precise, to start out at the bottom, because the first time she ever wielded was those big strikes.
Yeah,
It didn't manifest like other signets did.
that's true. Also,
Mhm.
Andarna has grown. She's no longer a feathertail.
Yes.
She is a teenager and she is bringing the sass.
So sassy.
Bringing the sass.
Yes, but she's also asleep right now.
Oh, yes.
So
She is
I
sleeping.
remember like reading and making a note to myself in like chapter like 30 or something. I was like, she's still sleeping. Our girl's still sleeping.
Yep, which brought me a lot of anxiety when I was reading it the first time because I was
Mhm.
like, what is wrong with her? What's wrong with Andarna?
And they kept mentioning how no Feathertail has ever slept this long. Like, and I kept in my head thinking like, well, the first couple of weeks or the first couple of days of the dreamless sleep that she was supposed to be taking, they did keep like waking her up and having to move her, and so
Yeah.
like maybe that drained it and prolonged it or something. But then it just kept dragging on, and I was like, okay, this can't just be from a couple of days where they woke her up.
Mm-hmm.
So I got a little worried there as well.
And then in this book, we get a lot of new characters.
Do
On chapter 8, it's conscription day. And so we get Sloane and Arik, Sloane Mari, Liam's sister.
talk about sassy.
Oh my gosh, I was not expecting her to be angry at Violet. Like, of all the things, I was not expecting her to be angry at Violet. So when she popped off,
threw me for a loop.
yeah, I was like, whoa, girl, take it back a step. And I love, love, love in this book Imogen.
Yeah.
I feel like Imogen has come so far. She's now one of my favorite characters. She's a girl's girl for Violet now.
Yes,
which she was not previously.
Well, I did like how, also going back to Sloane, how Violet handled that, because she didn't like give it really much thought. She was like, you just have to survive. Like, that's it. And that's truly the mindset she needed going into it.
Yes.
And I think everything unraveled for them how it needed to, and I'm sure we'll get to see even more of that in the next book.
Well, she kind of owned it. She was like, if you hate me, hate me. She hated herself for what happened.
Yeah.
So she couldn't blame Sloane for hating her for what happened to Liam. So I don't feel like she really had a choice. She just said, if you need to hate me, but I promised your brother that you would survive, so you need to freaking do it.
You need to survive. Yeah. And then can we talk about Arik a little bit?
Yeah.
His real name is Cam, and he is the second son of the current king, and no one knows that he is now in the war college instead of in the infantry.
I love this plot.
Yeah, I love it too. I'm so interested in the relationship between Violet and Arik. I see a lot of theories online that either Violet dated Arik or he dated his brother, the one that died.
Oh.
Or the older brother. I don't remember. There's 3 of them. One of them died. One of them knows.
Okay, because I've just finished this a couple days ago and haven't gotten online to see any of the like theories or anything. I've tried to keep it so I could like come up with my own. So never seen anything like this, but I think that would be crazy.
Yes.
I literally finished this book 2 hours ago, and I have also not seen any theories about that online. But when I was reading it, and Violet and Xaden have their short little conversation about their exes, and Xaden was like, I don't need to know who you've been with because nobody's a writer. Like, I'm not going to come across them and be sparring with them on the mat. I was like, oh, but like, what if you are? My head immediately went to like, to Arik.
I mean, I don't mind.
I don't really get that vibe between them when they're together, but I feel like, you know, not all breakups or not all anything have that tension. Like it could have happened.
Not been too serious.
That's why they were young. I think it's more realistic that she dated one of his brothers as opposed to him.
Yeah.
Just because I agree. I don't really get that vibe from them. But I totally see that being a thing where the brother comes into play in the next few books.
Yeah. I'd be interested.
I would be interested. And I would love to see a jealous Xaden. I would love it.
We got that like once with the jacket.
With the jacket.
Oh, Bodhi's jacket?
And we got it once with in Fourth Wing when Dane kisses Violet on the field. I would love to have it again. I'm just saying.
Once a book? I'd like a little more than that.
I'm a little greedy.
We'll take once.
Call me greedy. I don't care.
Yeah.
I would like it again. And then we also have Varish.
Also new to us this book.
We hate him. And if you don't hate him...
What book are you reading? If you don't hate
him. He's crazy. His dragon's crazy. What kind of man has this much like hatred towards 21, 22-year-olds? Oh, he's got to be short. He gives short energy so much. If he was in the real world, he would drive a big lifted truck with balls hanging from the back.
I can see it now.
and he would hop out because he would have to hop out because he's small. And he would, yeah, small dick energy for sure.
I like this explanation of him because that's truly how it felt. Like he was always trying to overcompensate and be like this big bad and then getting knocked down every once in a while by, our team, our group, Xaden and Taryn, and each time I think he was just getting more and more mad.
Yeah, he couldn't handle it. I also like they sent Atos off, Dane's dad. Like, why did he seem so dumb?
Yeah.
He was like he just seemed like no, he seemed like a Scooby-Doo villain. Like, not those darn kids.
You meddling kids.
They got me.
You're lying. Give it up.
Oh well, I guess I'm getting sent away now.
I never thought of it that way. And during my reread, I'm not going to be able to picture it any other way.
We pull his mask off and it's Varish.
I will say one of my favorite scenes is when Taryn stood up to Solus for Varish and all of that because it was just one of my favorite scenes.
Yeah,
I mean, that was crazy when he just like obliterated a whole squad
group. Yeah.
Like for no reason. He was just unhinged and everybody was just okay with it. Like I immediately would have been like, as a leader, like if I was another professor, I would have been like, as leadership,
he should have been
teaching these children to know how to control and their signets and their dragons and their bonds. If you can't control your dragon and you've been bonded for how long, you cannot teach people. Like, what is wrong with you?
I definitely don't think that Solus did it just from like Solus wanting to. I think it was Varish.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Even if it was Solus, Varish should have been like, hey, no snack time right now. We're no attacking the students.
I lost full trust of all leadership and all professors that first day when they were like, I mean, he's fine, he can stay.
I immediately was like, I was reading so much into all of the professors. I wanted to know who knows, who doesn't, who's on the right side and who's on the wrong side, because there is a right side and a wrong side.
Yeah, just trying to pay attention to all of Violet's little tells that she throws in there every once in a while.
For sure. Like in the scene where they're in battle brief and Professor De Vera is telling them about the attack on Samara.
Yes.
And they say there is one rider who has been seriously injured.
And she scratches her neck.
The left side of her neck where Xaden's
she's a girl's girl.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I loved that scene. I went feral for Violet being feral.
I think it confirmed that I could trust Vera.
Yeah, that confirmed it for me.
Then
I was
like,
I didn't worry about it moving forward.
Yeah, that I was like, okay.
And then she followed through.
And Kaori, when Violet came back from Samara that one time that she had the dagger, and Varish was ready to stop her in the hall.
Yes.
And Kaori came up to defend her and
because
was like,
she left without leave, and he was like, you can't hold her accountable to the feelings of she's a second year. You can't hold her accountable for falling under the emotions of one of the most powerful dragons. Like,
not only that, but then Varish was like trying to make her strip so he could search her under the guise that she was impersonating a lieutenant. And Kaori was like, I don't see a name tag.
Under the jacket it says Soaring Girl.
It says right here. Soaring Girl right there.
She's not impersonating nobody.
He was a girl's girl in that moment. Yeah. And I loved him for that. Markham, he can kiss my ass. Yeah. I don't like that guy.
You know who else
He's
can
the
kiss my
scribe guy,
ass?
right?
Who?
Fucking Nolan.
No way. Nolan gives me
Who does he remind you of? He reminds me of someone I just can't
he
pinpoint.
he gives me like Squidward vibes.
Oh no.
Or not Squidward. He gives me like everything's happening to me vibes. Like he's just like, well, I had to do it. Leadership told me to.
Yeah, he reminds me of the dad in Beauty and the Beast. Like that's who I picture.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I pictured just a
Little old man.
round, like little
Mhm.
man.
Really?
Yeah.
And that's probably so wrong, but like helpless, like
Mhm.
No.
he just listens to everyone.
But
I know
also-
he helped a little bit, but
Wait, I'm baffled because I picture him as like a really tall, kind of younger, maybe like 30s, 40s, like not
Mhm.
super old, like really tall. And I just picture him like with a hunchback, like, all the time.
I'll
and I'm
be
sure you're
sad.
right, but I don't know why I got like old man, but he's probably is like 30s, 40s, somewhere in there. I feel like you have to be young to keep up with these hooligans
Yeah.
at the
Also
college.
feel like though he wasn't just doing what leadership said. Like I feel like in a way he was wanting, not necessarily what he had to do for Violet, but his role in Jack.
Well, it makes a little more sense at the end of the book. So on my reread, I obviously knew that Jack was alive.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So the whole time when they're all like, Nolan is really tired. He looks like he's spread really thin. There must be a lot. Like I knew, I was like, he's working on Jack. But on my reread, I really caught at the end where Violet mentions like he wasn't just putting Jack back together physically. He was trying to like
Mend his soul.
mend his soul. Yeah.
Mhm.
And so on one hand, I don't think Nolan's a bad guy. I don't think he falls into the category of like Markham or Varish or anything like that. So that's why I kind of see him more as like he was used as a tool by leadership rather than, I don't know. I just kind of think he's sad.
Well, he's complacent at
Complacent.
times, but I saw that he was trying to kind of do what he could here or there. I think it was different with Violet because he knew her prior. But that doesn't always work for our girl Violet. She, wants you to be strong enough to stand up for what's right. And so I think that there's going to be probably some back and forths between her and him.
He was a badass for helping them get out of that like interrogation
Yeah.
thing.
He helped heal Violet so that they could just keep hurting her.
No, not necessarily that, but like to actually get them out. Didn't he distract Varish
Well,
to
he
say,
pulled
"Hey, let's
them
go
away
check on our other person," so that they
You're
could get
right.
out and
and
break out?
left the window
You're right.
unlocked.
He did. You're right.
That's why I said small little ways, but complacent. So it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if it makes up for everything. So I'm hoping, if we're gonna get like a redemption arc in that sense, that we really see it and we don't just see these little bits and pieces while we're still making bad decisions or still on the wrong side.
Yeah. One thing that cracked me up when I was reading this was like the fact that Sloane was bad at fighting.
Yeah.
Oh, I was not expecting that.
I wasn't expecting that either. And I just thought it was funny that she's like has all this anger and she's all like, I'm gonna kill you, Violet. And then she goes up to the mat and just like gets her ass handed to her.
It made me really sad when I realized that her and Liam were split up, though.
Yeah,
And so
was
he was trained
so
and
sad.
she wasn't, and that broke my heart.
Yeah. It made me so sad because to think that he hadn't seen her in years, at least 6 years. That was when they got separated.
Mhm.
And
His last dying wish was to protect her.
I know he thought about her, not only thought about her, he wrote her letters
Yeah.
for her to read, which good move on Violet to be
Why-
like, you're gonna train and you're gonna live if you want these
Yeah.
letters.
It
Or
was
to
a-
even think ahead to save the letters.
Mhm.
Yes.
It was a little manipulative,
Mm.
but it was
Okay.
calculated and smart, and I loved every bit of it.
I don't know why she didn't, like, I'd feel worse about that than not telling my friends that the world
Yeah.
is burning down.
Yeah.
I don't know. But that was good. I liked that in order to get the information on the wards, she had to have such intense knowledge of the archives. Like, she really used her scribe skills,
Training.
her
Mhm.
training, and her like it says throughout the whole book, like, she has the mind of a scribe, but the heart of a writer.
Yeah.
So every time I read, like, with them going into the archives, it sounds like a maze.
Mhm.
And so basically, thinking about her growing up down there, like, it's a second home to her. It was where she was, like, her power not only on the field as a writer, like, she does have the mind of a scribe, and she showed it by leading them through there.
Well, that's where her, like, shields are, like, in
Mhm.
her mind even. She goes back to the archives
Yes.
every single time.
Yes.
And I just think that I just really like the way Rebecca wrote that, how even though she's now a writer and she's full-heartedly a writer now, she never lost that part of her that was the scribe.
Mhm.
It just makes her a better writer.
Yes.
For
Yes.
her mind, it adds to it.
Yes.
She has that on every other writer, because every other writer who's there has been trained their entire life to be a writer,
Mhm. Yes.
and she wasn't, so she just has that above everyone else.
And then also the punishment that they gave Violet for Andarna not showing up for flight maneuvers and her almost burning out.
And unusual.
Cruel and unusual punishment. If Xaden had been there, they would have been dead. That's all I'm saying.
I really don't understand. Like, I really thought that Taryn was gonna step in at some point.
I don't understand how they let it get that far.
I don't either.
I don't. And then Bodhi and Imogen came out. And
This is when Taryn flew him and dropped her in the river or something, right?
yes,
Okay.
Yeah.
that's one of my favorite scenes because at this point in the book, Violet hasn't come to terms with the fact that she will forgive Xaden and everything. Like, she's still fighting with herself and with him about, him not telling her everything and not having full disclosure between them. But she admits that she still loves him. But in that scene, when she gets cooled down in the river and Bodhi and Imogen come to get her, and she tells Bodhi, she says, "I miss him."
Mhm.
Just a fist around your heart.
That hurt. I was like, oh. And I really like that we're getting more of Bodhi. He's so good. He gives me like golden retriever,
He gives me
like
Liam
he
in a
gives
way.
a little bit of Liam vibes.
Not as, like, in your face, always by her side, but he was always in the background doing the
Right.
same thing.
Yes. he's so cute to me.
Yeah,
I
always
love
someone she
Bodhi.
could rely on for sure. I think
Yes.
that that's what Imogen and Bodhi were for her in this book.
Yes. And
Because she couldn't always go to her friends, but they were always there to kind of walk alongside her.
right. That's true.
Something that kind of came up throughout the entire book that was kind of one of those like really sad like subplots was, I'll read the quote. It said, "The first year is when some of us lose our lives. The second year is when the rest of us lose our humanity." And I
Oh,
think that that connects a lot with Violet,
I just got
her
chills.
avoidance
Yeah.
of like
Learning the
even
first year's
learning the
name.
first year's names when she
yes.
was just in that position, like all the way up, like that was sprinkled in at like such the perfect moments, but like all the way up until the end where she's like, and now I know all their names.
Can
And it
I
was like
tell
that
you,
empowering
I
moment.
just got chills.
when
That
my
was
heart cracked open
Mhm.
when that line came across, that, like, she was naming all these names of first years that we had never heard because she didn't know them, and now she knows them. It's because she did know them, and she was fighting for herself, saying, like, I don't want to know them, like, I'm just gonna block it out, but she did.
yeah.
Yeah,
It
she
was like
can't stop to
I just
care.
It was like a
painful.
trauma response. She just
Yeah.
didn't
Yeah.
wanna hurt like she did with Liam. She didn't wanna get attached, but she realized it doesn't matter. You are attached.
Mhm.
I mean, how can you not be? You spend every day with these people, and to see them die, I couldn't imagine.
Yeah. And then her trips to Samara and seeing Xaden, and then when Mira was there, I loved can I tell y'all? I
Yeah.
loved that one scene where she comes for the weekend and Xaden's like, "You have to decide now, do you want time alone with me tonight or
Yep.
not?" And she's like, "Do you?" And she's like, "Yes." And so they kiss in front of Mira. And Mira's like, "Ugh."
It reminds me of that TikTok of is it I don't know what movie it's from. It's like a
Mm.
scene of The Rock and is it Kevin Hart? It's like, "Are you in? Are you out?" It's like, "You have to decide. No? Okay, can't tell you more. Are you in? You out?" You have
Yep.
to decide. No? Oh, well, too late. You're already in, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
And then
The trip to Samara before that, when she found him like down in the fighting pit, fighting for leave over her, and then when he wins, he's like, "I only need 24 hours. He can have the rest." Like
Wholesome.
I thought I was just so sweet
that was so good.
because he only needed the 24 hours for her, but yet
But can we also
so
talk
great.
about how dumb Violet is in that moment because she's like, "Oh, he's fighting so that Sigale and Taryn can have time together." Ma'am,
Yeah.
ma'am, we
Like I said,
No.
this first part of the book, she was
Ma'am.
clueless.
Yeah, literally.
But
Because Xaden, to give her credit, he never did speak his feelings, really. He never said the words yet. He hadn't
actions
said them yet.
speak louder than words.
I mean, yes, but she was wrapped up in it.
That's true.
when she was constantly like pulling him, like, you don't get to run away from this. We both know what we feel, like trying to pull him back in. And so things have switched.
Yes.
Things have switched up a little bit, and we're still currently fighting right now, and they're struggling. And over and over, I will still get mad at him. What was the purpose of making her ask the questions? I understand we want to do it in a way where she's ready to hear the information because it's big information, but at the same time, if a man ever did that to me and said, "You need to ask the right
That is
questions,"
the
I
most
understand we're in a different world. I get it, but that is crazy.
the most frustrating part of the entire book to me.
I do think it's a little cruel because, I mean, if you don't know, how do you know what questions to ask?
Exactly.
And I know it showed like her intelligence, especially towards like the end of the book when she's like putting pieces together. I mean, she does it throughout the entire thing. But at the same time, it's just they went through a lot to get to that point, which maybe they needed to. Maybe that was the point. We go through hard times, but it just felt as though he was making that for them.
It was
May I
making
say
it
something?
unnecessary. Yes.
Some people online
Yeah.
say that he is doing that because he thinks Violet's second signet is that she's an intrinsic, or that she can tell when people are lying, or something like that.
Like a
put
truth
that-
sayer or whatever.
Yes.
I
And
put that on my guesses. I said, I think she's either. Well, okay. So something came up where when she found out about his second signet, it said he needs to know everything. He needs to know everything. That's his biggest need. And then literally like 5 pages later, it says, well, I need to know everything. And so I was like, oh, it might be an intrinsic thing. But then I thought further and I was like, she has to tell the truth. She hates not telling the truth. Like then I started thinking truth sayer. And so I wrote that and I was going to put it on my bingo card.
yes, there's a lot of theories.
There's a lot to unpack.
Yes, there's
Yeah.
a lot of theories about that. I think she is a full-blown intrinsic and can read minds. The reason being, how many times throughout these 2 books has she said, "Oh, I didn't realize I said that out loud," or she'll have like little italic written phrases where she like can hear something that Xaden's thinking.
But I always thought that was
I
him
thought that was
projecting it to
him.
her.
Is it though? For example, towards the end of the book,
Oh God.
there's like a moment where right before Xaden becomes a Venom, right before when they're fighting.
I can't
And-
believe you just dropped that right there.
I
So
know, this
sorry.
is not
Keep
the
going.
time.
So sorry, keep
Why
going.
is
We'll
this
get
not
back
the
to that.
time?
I don't know.
We gave a full-blown spoiler warning at the beginning.
My heart wasn't ready for
I
it.
just didn't want to believe it, so I didn't want
Yeah.
it to be said till the end.
Yeah.
But
Sorry.
keep going.
He's Venom. Should I rub it in some more?
No.
Dang.
I'm just kidding. But when she feels him dying, when she feels him dying,
Yeah.
and she's saying, "Don't die, don't die, don't die," and she can hear what he's thinking, and he's thinking like, "Oh my gosh, I'm gonna leave her behind." Um, sorry, I'm trying to find it.
Like,
No, it's
just how much
okay.
pain he's in. This
Yeah,
is
I
her
guess
name
I
is
would have
Yes.
passed that off as she's, like, getting that through Taryn
That's
and
what I did.
Sigil.
Because how she said, "I can see it," like, how I
But he would have
saw.
had his shields up so he could focus,
I think
so
there's more to that than
I mean, I believe you. I wrote in my notes, and I send them over to Alyssa while I'm reading, that I did think that she was intrinsic because of that need. Like, she literally laid it out and said, "I have this need, same thing as his," and I wouldn't put it past her to be able to do it all. So,
I mean, for them to be, I feel like Violet and Xaden are so equal in different ways.
mhm.
Like their childhoods losing, so he lost his father, she lost her father, the way they grew up in positions of, like, their parents in positions of power. They're super powerful signets and dragons, and rising quickly in the ranks at like, they're just very similar yet different. I feel like it would be harmony for them to balance and both have
A
a
piece of that.
signet that nobody else has, because nobody else lives if they have it. They
I
kill everyone
agree.
else with it.
I agree. Ugh, I would love that. Wallace is finding the quote. I also loved that he was leaving letters for her. That was wholesome.
that was so sweet. You would love
Were they
that.
all separate letters, or was it the one letter that he had left that
You
was
know,
just spliced out throughout
I don't
the
actually
tops of each
know.
chapter?
I feel like she mentioned him leaving letters multiple times.
Okay.
Obviously, I think that they might have been like fully fleshed out letters and not just like that little snippet that we got at the top of chapters. But I think they were multiple, and we were just getting, the pieces that they were willing to share.
I did love the little bits of his background and his backstory that we got through those, and
Yeah, and I have thoughts in terms of what to expect in the next book because of it, because of these little snippets.
Really?
And so we might have to talk about that near the end.
Yeah. There's another theory that are we talking about the end already?
No, we're not.
Okay.
Oh, wait, we can.
Well, it just goes with the Xaden thing or
Yeah.
Violet Signet thing
Well, we're here.
that because when she realizes Xaden is dying and she is like screaming down the bond, fight, fight, fight,
Mhm.
that is one of her signets is that she can control people
I
because
have seen
and
that.
that's why he turned into a Venom
Oh.
because he couldn't die because she commanded him not to.
And there's been a lot of things throughout the book where I mean, with Taryn, he's the most powerful dragon, and he basically folds at her will,
Mhm.
almost like catching her. No other dragon does that
Oh
out of
my
the sky, and wearing a saddle.
Mhm.
Dragons don't do that, but he did. Like, and when she asked Coda to be able to repower the wards,
Mhm.
no one goes up to another dragon like that and looks them in the eye and help. Like,
And is
she's
able to get away with it?
exactly.
That's a good point, Hope.
Yeah.
That's a really good point. And who else, like, you need someone who is so morally aware of things, like, to have that signet because someone with the bad intentions could literally just take over the world. But if, Violet has it, she could use it for
But that also makes me think, did she use it accidentally on, like, Xaden? Like,
No.
kiss me, like, was
Hope.
it what?
Gosh.
That hurt.
I'm just
Yeah.
saying, like, he
That's
was the
so
one
far.
thinking, like, he was the one thinking, like, I was using my power on you and I could feel what you want, like that. But what if it was her pushing it on him?
That would be crazy. That's painful. I don't want to think about
Yeah,
that.
let's just
I'm kidding.
let's just not think
It's just
about
a
that.
thought. Like,
She's just kidding, guys.
if her if her emotions get like that and she can talk to people and command it when she wants something so bad,
Mhm.
I'm just
Well,
saying.
one thing for sure is the second that this signet rears its little head, she's freaking out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I can't wait for it.
I hope she gets the first one under control first.
I know. Well, I wonder who will be around when that happens, though, too.
Yeah.
Like, it's probably not gonna be Xaden. It's probably gonna be someone.
Why not?
I don't
It could be
know.
Xaden.
I don't think it will, because then you have to have the moral dilemma. Like, they keep doing like a parallel moral dilemma. Like, she had the same struggle with not telling her friends. You know, she might have the same struggle with not telling him, or
Mm,
deciding how to tell him, or anything like that.
that's true.
I feel like she's gonna find out with someone else, maybe a new character, maybe
Mm,
like Sloane, Arik, like one of these people who are like important to her, but kind of those side characters right now.
yes.
I don't think it'll be any of the main squad.
Maybe not.
You know who, I know it's crazy to say, but who grew on me at the very end?
Who?
Kat.
Oh, yeah. I feel like that was
Yeah.
intentional.
Well, definitely.
That
She
she grew
had
on
some
you.
out of pocket things to say.
Oh my gosh.
And I know.
Let's bring it back to the first
Yes.
chapter where they meet.
Unhinged.
Oh my
Oh
gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought it was
She's
crazy.
feisty.
Mhm.
She is. She is feisty.
And her power is dangerous.
Yeah. I thought it was hilarious that Bodhi just dropped that. Like, not brought up, completely just he could have never said anything and she would have had no idea. And
Yeah.
he's just like, yeah, I've never seen Xaden act like this, even with Kat.
Not like him. We had to get the plot moving, I guess.
Yes. I was like, Bodhi.
Well, how is he
He's a
to know what they
gossiper.
talk about in their relationships?
That's true. He probably thinks it's a healthy relationship and they talk about everything.
It's
Oh,
not.
you should know better.
He should. And then chapter 20, when she's in Samara and she speaks to Mira about it and she tries to hint
Oh.
to Mira and Mira completely shuts her down.
Yeah, that was a tough read.
That
I
was
felt bad. I was like, she's gonna look back at this conversation and be so
And she
sad at
did.
herself.
And she
Yeah.
She
did.
was. And she apologized
She
for it.
apologized for it
She
in
saw it.
Erasure.
Yeah.
I love Mira. I
I
hope
do
nothing
too.
bad happens to Mira.
The way Mira handled Brennan.
Oh my gosh. I feel like I would most get along with Mira.
Yes, that is
Yeah.
Every reaction she has, I'm like, that's exactly what I would have
Valid.
done.
the way Mira handled Brennan is how I wanted Violet to handle Brennan.
Yes.
And so at least we got it through Mira,
yes.
I will say. Because what the fuck?
I love Mira. I feel like she's the only one with a good head on her shoulders.
Yes.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if you're family.
Yeah.
Like, you gotta be held accountable.
For real. And then, oh yeah, Dane being a wing leader.
I loved everyone making fun of him though.
I thought it was
Like,
hilarious.
you know who didn't have to boast and be all fake?
Yeah. Xaden.
Riorson.
Could never live up. Like
I know.
I mean, they were pretty big shoes to fill.
Well, yeah. But
So
and then Ree being a squad leader, she deserved it so much.
that was the
For
perfect spot
sure.
for her.
She's so
she did
good at it.
so well.
I
Yeah.
would say she really stepped up in terms of, like, when Violet pulled away, she was on it. You
Yeah.
know, she was putting pieces together. Like, we were seeing her put pieces together like Violet does for Xaden. And, like, it truly was crazy, like, how much of a parallel was going on.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and then we talk about Dane. Let's talk about Dane. And how he swears up and down that he didn't know about the attack on Athbean. That he only gave the memory to his father, and his father is the one that did all that.
Well, the little shouldn't have given the memory to begin with.
Okay,
I don't care if he knew or not.
He's a rule follower.
Yes.
I relate to Dane in the fact that I am a heavy rule follower.
Me too.
Yeah.
I don't like to break rules. I mean, I think he took it a little far, but I do not like to break rules either. And he's 21 years old.
He's also in the dark.
And
like,
it's his
what he doesn't, they didn't say what the purpose of that, you know, place and like its importance.
No, and remember, he thinks Xaden is manipulating Violet still. Like, he believes that Xaden is like manipulating her.
If he would just listen to his best friend.
But
She
listen,
was saying,
Him and his best friend grew up in the same world where they both were rule followers. Like, they
yeah,
both kind of all had the same, like, mindset going into this.
I don't think Violet was
I think
ever
she had
portrayed
some
as being a rule follower.
yeah, she was a scribe.
she follows the
She
codex,
follows the
she
oh yeah, she like can repeat the codex word for word.
Well, because she's read it a million times, not that she follows it by heart like Dane did.
she surprised herself in a lot of ways with the way she would go against things just based on, like, feeling. She wasn't
Yeah,
used to that.
I
Yeah.
guess.
But also, I mean, Dane is young and he was just listening to his dad. Like, that's his dad. We think Atos is like a Scooby Doo villain with no respect, but
Mhm.
that's his dad. You know, if your dad was like, hey, your friend's being manipulated and you need to tell me what her most recent memory is. You know what I mean? Like,
I would confront my friend about it.
I don't know. I get it. Also, I would like to say Rebecca defends Dane. She had a yes, Miss Yarros did. She had when, she went to a midnight release and they were asking her questions, and someone asked her, "Who's your least favorite character?" And someone from the audience was like, "Dane," and she was like, "You better take his name out of your mouth. Dane is a 21-year-old guy who loves his friend and is just trying to tell his chronically ill friend to sit down." And I was like
I know. I really definitely, like, kind of took into account his side of things in Fourth Wing, and I was hoping for the best for him, and I think that we are starting to get that. I think,
He
like
fumbled
you
there for a
said,
minute.
he thought he was doing what was right.
it really sealed the deal for me when he saved Violet, and we'll get to that in a minute, but that sealed the deal with me. And then when he left with them, I was like, he's good on my like I trust him, I believe him, and I forgive him.
Mhm. We also find out somewhere around here that Arik knows about everything.
Yes, and that's why he's here.
Yeah,
Oh, that
that's
was
why I'm
such a
here.
revelation. I loved it. That was beautiful.
That
Very
was good.
interesting development.
And then Violet having dreams about the venom was creepy. I would like to point something out that in her dreams she describes the venom as having tan skin and sweet breath. Who do we know who has tan skin? Xaden. Who do we know whose favorite food is chocolate cake?
Xaden.
Dear.
Xaden. So some
Okay.
people were saying that she might have put that in as like a hint towards Xaden turning.
But so I don't necessarily think that they were nightmares because I don't know if the Vinin were finding a way like into her head.
What if she was reading their minds?
I was thinking like some sort of like prophecy, like something
Yeah.
like
And
that.
okay, there I know I'm jumping way to the very, very end. Last chapter, Xaden's POV, we find out he's having the same nightmares
I know.
of
I hate a
turning
miscommunication
for
trope.
love,
Mhm.
you know,
And he
for love.
did.
I
Well, that's what
oh,
the
my
Venom was
heart.
telling Violet too.
No, that's what I'm saying. They're having the same exact nightmare.
Uh-huh.
It's not a nightmare. They were putting that in their heads.
Yeah.
It had to have been.
I think Kiara's right. I think it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Mhm.
Like one of them was bound to turn for the other. And I think Violet would be willing to go Venom for Xaden.
I think
Yeah.
Violet would have
She
had
thought
her
about it.
mom not stepped in. She
She
was
thought
going I that's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. I think
She's
she
going
would have.
to.
I think they both would have there and that moment. But no one was there to step in for Xaden. And her mom was there to step in
there's
for Violet.
never
And so
anybody
I
there to
know.
step in for Xaden.
I know.
Except
Well,
for
I'm just
her.
saying I think that they prophecy, nightmare, whatever was put into their head, I think they were both supposed to then and there.
Mm-hmm.
And because her mom stepped in, she didn't.
Yeah. Am I the only one? I thought personally the torturing and the going with the infantry to try and find their way around.
What was it? The
Yeah.
RSC?
It
or
was
the-
boring to me.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
whatever. I mean, the torturing thing wasn't. I thought it was weird, but I just thought the RSC thing was so boring.
Yeah.
And
They were trying to shake things up.
yeah,
The only thing that came out of that trip was that she wasn't able to see Xaden that time.
and that they have a serum that can cut them off from their dragons.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
that, and also I guess
Their
that was the
signet.
first thing that the squad had ever failed at.
That's true too. I would just like to say I love them. Riddick, Sawyer,
Yes.
Imogen, Bodhi,
I can't believe they kept the whole squad together
Clone,
to go
Art.
to Eurasia. Their entire squad.
I knew that they would. They're
Yeah.
ride or die for our
For
girl.
sure.
Yeah.
Besties.
Yes.
It made me very happy to see everyone there.
Oh, something about kind of the Jack Barlow, he's alive, like kind of thing.
Yeah.
I like went on like a spiral because I was like, what's the purpose? Because we didn't know anything about the venom yet.
Mhm.
I was like, are they trying to get him to like kill her out of revenge so it doesn't look like they have anything to do with it, like the leadership people?
I was very confused on why him.
Well, but then I was like, but Varish wasn't around during this time. Like Jack died before he ever came,
Mhm.
and so I was thinking maybe Atos had something to do with it. But like, I agreed. I was like, so many people die. Why meant him? But now we know it's because he was Venom.
Yeah, but
right?
I still don't understand that because why is leadership trying to save a Venom? If they knew he
because
was
they wanted to do the testing.
Are they trying
maybe.
to find a cure for the venom? Is
Oh,
that what they're
That's
trying to do?
That's probably
They're
why,
trying
'cause
to
that was
mend
the
the soul.
closest thing that they could.
and do you think
How are they going to catch
do you
another
think
Venom?
do you think they thought he was mended because Jack was acting like not like an ass
And super
Probably.
sweet.
and so
Probably.
they were like,
Yeah.
"Oh, we fixed him."
Well, he was also within the wards, so his power or whatever was diminished. It's not that it was gone.
Yeah.
It's diminished.
True.
They
Yeah.
can just do hand-to-hand combat, remember?
Yes.
Mhm.
Y'all are so right. Oh my gosh.
But it's like,
And that-
also you have to let him back into the world, you have to know that he's not going to run out and like leave the ward. So he had to have had them tricked. I
And
would
we were also discussing this before we started recording the episode that we were like, what is Jack's signet? We couldn't think of Jack's signet. He doesn't have one.
think.
Because he's drawing the power.
Venom.
He's Venom.
And he didn't have one. He couldn't do anything inside the ward. Wow.
Wow.
You skipped right
Except
over that.
for throwing the power onto Violet on the mat. But I guess he really had to draw on everything to be able to do that within the
Was
wards.
that in this book? Or was it in Fourth Wing?
I think that was in Fourth
Fourth
Wing. My
Wing.
bad. Sorry.
No, that's okay. But
That's
I'm
okay.
just
I think they mentioned it though. They mentioned it in this book.
but now I'm like, was he Venom in Fourth Wing? Or was
Yes.
he how do you know?
Yeah.
Because they mentioned it in this book.
They
In
do?
their first
How-
time sparring.
Yeah. In their
Mhm.
first time sparring, when he challenged her on the mat and he threw that power onto her and she felt all weird and she was like, it's the weirdest feeling that came over me. The power he's shoving down my throat.
Wow.
Before was he the one that she took out with oranges?
Mm. Yes,
Probably.
yes, he's allergic to
Okay.
oranges.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it was that fight before he passed out from oranges or whatever.
well, seems like we could get rid of him pretty easy.
Probably. But
Lose more.
I did, because we're on this topic now, and I don't know if we're saving like our theories till the end or if we're kind of mixing them in. But I wrote down, and I'm going to add it to my bingo card, that Xaden befriends, and I'm using air quotes, Jack to go undercover, learn more things. Like they're going to be, I feel as though they're going to be walking around like,
Here's my thing.
that's what I
What does
think.
Jack know? Like,
I
how
feel like
powerful is he? I don't think he's very powerful.
He's the only person there, like in Bezgaya. He's got to know. He's got to
He's
be.
not.
Yeah, he did say there's
No,
more of us.
He's not.
He
Well,
did
then
say
it's
that.
an interconnected web.
I think
They all have to communicate.
Do you remember that kid that came up? They were by the sparring mats, and it's a
Mhm.
first year, and he came up and he was like, to Nadine, "Are you Violet Sorrengail?" And she's like,
He
or
had
"Who's
red-rimmed
Violet
eyes.
Sorrengail?"
Yeah.
And Nadine turned around and is like, "Oh, I'm Violet Sorrengail,"
Her
like
first
joking around.
assassination
And
attempt. Yeah.
he fucking just broke her neck.
Yep, on the spot.
He was venom. And there's been multiple students in here that they've described having red-rimmed eyes.
Well, that's what we recognized when we first started listening to the audiobook together. I was like, that's weird.
Yes.
That's suspicious.
And I did not look at you because I didn't want to give anything away.
I brought it up, and then I even wrote it later on. I was like, what is going on? Because they wrote it at the top of a chapter of like these, the venom. They show up, the little initiates or whatever are red-rimmed eyes, and then we go on to the next one, and it's like bloodshot eyes, and then the
Yes.
next one is like the veins coming out.
Not me just
Yes.
thinking everyone's staying up late, too late drinking and hungover or something.
also,
They're
like,
actually venom.
In the moment, I see that, and I'm like, how much did we miss?
Exactly.
Like,
I have
so
to
many
reread
people
it.
must have had, or so many times that they hinted at it.
I finished this book 2.5 hours ago, and I need to reread it immediately.
Yeah.
I know I missed so much.
And then, so the first half of the book, when I first read it, it felt kind of boring.
It was slow.
On the reread, it was not boring because there's all these things that you catch when
Yeah.
you're reading it.
I
You know what you're looking
say
for.
on my first read, I wouldn't say it was boring. I just think it was slower.
That's a better word to describe it. I don't mean boring, like I was like, "Ooh,
There was a
come
lot going on.
But
Slow
I like
paced.
slow,
Yeah.
slower pace than Fourth Wing for sure. Because I felt like Fourth Wing was like a sprint from the beginning.
It was.
Yeah.
It was.
Okay, well, then we went to Erasha because we ran away. We killed Barish.
Well, can we talk about that whole scene with
Yes.
Liam
Yes.
when
Yeah.
Oh, in the torture chamber, Liam. Oh my god.
Yeah, that's tough.
What is that?
I don't know. That's another theory. There's so many theories about Violet Second Signet is that she can talk to the dead.
When we did our test, okay,
We did a quiz.
at our Fourth Wing book club, we took Kiara put a like a BuzzFeed quiz.
Yeah, it was BuzzFeed.
Where we go in and answer questions. It's like what would your signet be if you were Pescaeth? And I think me and Kiara both got to speak to the dead, and we were like, what is this?
To talk to the dead.
What is going? And
It's possible. It broke my heart.
Yeah.
Just the whole time he's there, and he's basically just
comforting her, there for her, giving her strength, telling her
Yes.
what she needs to hear, which is why I think she thought it was all in her head. And who knows, it could just be all in her head. But he does show up at later points throughout the book. It wasn't just there in the torture chamber, hall, prison,
And I'd
whatever.
like to think that was him.
I would too.
Not just her imagination. Because also she was drilling that point home of like, I know that this is a hallucination. I know that I'm just making this up.
It was too
It's
convenient.
not real.
Yeah.
And it's just what I think I would need to hear from him. But I think that insistence is probably what makes it feel more realistic.
Yeah.
And then
Can we just say how fucking badass Violet is for not breaking?
well, yeah.
For
I knew she
sure.
wasn't gonna break. I knew
Well,
our girl was strong.
Yes,
Yeah.
but like the
Yeah.
people that are torturing her were like, how is she not breaking? And the only thing that broke her was somebody literally breaking into her mind and her memories.
Oh, also real quick, I just want to go back
Mhm.
with Arik being the only one that could get into the chamber to get the book because it is royal blood.
Yeah.
I thought it was so funny when they were talking through the plan and Violet tells Jacinia like we want to get in there or whatever, and they're like, well, that's impossible, we need royal blood, and she goes, well,
Got a royal.
I can figure that out.
It's a good thing I know someone. Yeah, because nobody else knows, and they still don't know, right?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
How did they not put that together? Now
Yeah,
that I'm thinking about it, how did they not put that together?
because nobody or at least nobody in Erasha or the
Yeah.
flyers know.
Maybe the squad does.
And
I
yeah.
don't know. They didn't blatantly say it.
And then I love the part where Riddick is like, wait, do I know something that you don't know?
Yeah. Yeah, that was funny.
It was funny.
About and what was that? That was from. What did he know?
The journal of the two of the first six were
It
in
was
the archives.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
How?
they're like personal journals that they all kept personal journals, And then okay, sorry, now we can go back to the interrogation. There is a theory, another theory, sorry.
How stupid of Violet. Why wouldn't she have wrapped that journal? They were so close. And she was just carrying it around in a satchel. She could have wrapped the satchel up and stuck it in her jacket, and then it wouldn't have been out in the open. I don't understand
We're
why
like
she was
not
just carrying it
separated
around.
from everyone. Like
Yeah.
that's the thing.
As
Should we
soon
split
as
up? No,
as soon as
we
who was
shouldn't.
she walking with? She was walking with someone, and as soon as they left, I was like, she's about to get caught.
She was walking with Xaden
It was Aiden?
because Xaden took the other
Oh, okay, yeah.
journal to who he needed to take it to, and so they said bye, and she turns around and she's like, "Oh, Nolan."
Yeah, she had one journal and Xaden had the other to take it to Brennan so that Brennan could start
And of course it was the wrong one.
Yeah.
Ugh.
That's unfortunate. They had a 50-50 shot.
Yeah. What are they supposed to do?
Also, there is another theory in chapter 35 when she's being tortured and Liam is there and everything, that Liam really was there because he seems Barish seems to respond to what Liam is saying to Violet.
I don't know if I caught that.
I didn't make any notes about that.
I don't think it's true.
I think he was responding to, because Violet was responding to.
Yes,
I mean,
it makes sense if you take out Liam's words. It makes sense. The conversation still makes sense. So I don't think that's true, but you know, I'm willing to hold on to a little hope that Liam's still there.
I mean, they didn't burn him. Just saying.
Wait.
Oh,
they said that they did. But they said they burned him.
Who?
Liam.
Xaden and them. They said that they burned Liam's body.
I don't remember that. I remember them burying it.
Did they bury it?
I think they buried him.
I have a theory, personally. I haven't seen this theory anywhere online, but it's possible that it is out there. I think Liam's venom. We never saw him die. We only saw, because Xaden went to be with Liam.
Xaden's reaction and his cry out for it.
Yes.
Violet, because we as the readers never see it because Violet never saw it.
Correct. So I think I'm going to put that on my bingo card.
I truly think they said that they buried him.
I think
within the first.
You're probably right.
But
I don't know.
And I think that's at the end of Fourth Wing because it's right when she wakes up.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, yeah, he said he wasn't there when they buried him because he didn't leave or something like that.
But, you know, rereading it, it does seem not as likely because of the way that Xaden's reacting to himself becoming a villain.
Yeah.
So I feel like if he knew that they could control it or whatever, he wouldn't be as freaked out. But I thought it would be cool that maybe, perhaps, Liam is alive. But oh yeah, here's an example of Varish and Liam speaking to each other or whatever. Varish says, "You're pining your hopes that he'll break the rules for you, that he'll save you," talking about Xaden, "since your own mother hasn't lifted a finger for you." And Liam says, "He won't wait until Saturday," Liam promises. And then Varys says, "That's what I'm counting on."
Yeah, but if you go back and take he won't wait until, it still makes sense.
Right. But I'm just saying, that's a theory that I've seen out there.
Yeah.
That could exist. But anyway, okay. And then Dane comes in and saves her and chooses her after she shows all of the memories to him.
I was stressed that entire scene.
I wasn't. I knew he'd make the right decision.
No, I was very stressed.
I knew he'd make the right decision. I knew.
I hoped he would.
And then Kiara, as you mentioned in the last podcast, one of your favorite tropes happen here.
Yes. It sure did.
Where Xaden,
he says, "Apologize."
I can finally listen to that part now.
Yes.
Yep. Because you sure can.
They apologize to her. And I feel like, didn't Taryn make somebody say that? Didn't Taryn say apologize to her, to someone also, not just Xaden?
Was that who it was when I said there were 2 of them?
I think so.
It was.
Well, no. So Xaden told
So
Varish,
confused.
right?
Varish. He makes Varish apologize to Xaden or to Violet when they're on the flight field after
Taryn
she
says
almost
that
burns out, and he
he
comes.
almost kills
Yes,
Solus.
yeah. Well, Varish comes up to her and he's like, "Well, where's your little feather tail?" and all of this stuff, and Taryn's like, "I've had it," and he goes over and he threatens Solus's life and like puts his mouth around his neck or whatever, and Taryn's basically like, "Tell him like he can't live if his dragon dies." So he's, this is
Tell him to apologize
yeah,
to you.
and then he makes him get on his knees
Mhm.
and apologize.
Mhm. And then Xaden does it too. But I was thinking Taryn did it also.
Also, when they, leave the torture chamber, that's when Xaden has his love proclamation.
Finally.
And
I
it's
mean,
poetic,
it
guys.
was so beautiful. So Miss Rebecca Yarros knows how to put words on a page that will make your heart sing.
Listen, when he says that like he would rather let Eratia and the whole rebellion burn to the ground
Yep,
before he gave up Violet,
I believed him.
I believe him.
And
I think he proves his words
Yeah.
time and time again.
I think he proves it at the very end when he says, like, to save you, if we need to fire up the wards here instead of Eratia, like, it shows you right there. He chose her over his home and the rebellion.
Something more than that, I loved that Violet gave him the choice. Me personally, I would have immediately been like, okay, we're putting up the wards. Like, we have to save everyone
Yeah.
here.
There's so many
And
people there,
she
yeah.
They
gave
just
him
love
the
each other so
choice.
much.
Yeah. Onyx
They're
Storm is gonna
so
break my heart. I just know it.
Crazy. And then after this, Mommy Dearest kind of
Yeah.
pushes her way into everything.
I genuinely think that she thought she was doing the best she could for her kids.
Mm-hmm.
She was trying to protect them. After losing Brennan, I think she just was
Hardened even further.
Yeah. Like,
Doesn't Brennan like insinuate that like she knew about him dying?
Oh,
I
like
feel
not being dead?
no.
Oh.
I feel like Brennan insinuates that his mom like
Knew that he was
killed him.
going
Like
to
yeah,
die?
yes.
Oh, I didn't get that, but I could have missed that.
I didn't get that either. I'm a little confused about that because he died. He's saying, like, the story is that Xaden's dad killed Brennan. Obviously, that didn't happen. But
And Taryn's old rider died trying to save him.
Yeah.
Nailin or whoever.
Yes. So I'm a little confused. Like, I hope we get more of the story of what happened that day and what went on with Xaden's dad and everything.
Probably because Brennan was already a part of the movement and the rebellion and knew Xaden's dad, and they blamed Xaden's dad for it
Well,
because Brennan disappeared to fake his own death, and they just said he was dead.
probably, but their mom, like, definitely
Maybe they
seemed
hid it from
shocked that he
her.
was alive.
Maybe the rest of
Yeah.
the leadership like hid
For
it from
sure.
her.
Yeah,
That would make sense.
So I'm a little
Probably.
confused about that. Like, obviously she did not know.
And maybe Brennan like couldn't believe that she didn't know, but I really don't think that she knew. But maybe like the rest of the leadership did or something.
Yeah,
Potentially.
perhaps.
And we also find out that she made a deal with Xaden during the beginning of Fourth Wing to keep Violet safe.
I'm glad. I'm really glad that I was afraid when I read that they were going to make a really big deal out of that and she was going to be like, you don't really love me because you just made a deal with my mom to keep me alive. I'm glad.
Yeah.
I'm really glad it did not go that direction.
Well, there were some small like comments that she I don't think she ever made them, but they were happening in her head.
There were
Yeah.
insecurities, and I think it was only because she waited too damn long to ask him about it.
Which I do get. I do get that. Oh, and the
Yeah.
fact that General Sorengale is the one who put the marks on Xaden.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a lot to
Really
unpack.
sad.
Yeah.
I was like, dang.
And then for him to take a mark of protection
Oof.
for her daughter
Not
in Erasure
not
over
just
his
that.
heart.
Not just that, but when she asks him, "When did you do that?" And he says, "About 2 seconds after I handed you off to Brennan
Uh-huh.
in Erasure."
Yeah.
He was just immediately like, "No one touches her."
Yeah.
Well,
She
yeah.
like
Because he knew her reputation there. Like, everyone was going to want to kill her or not enslave her, imprison her, or,
all the
like,
things.
he had to.
it's just so good though.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. And then they go out, they go to Erasure. I like that Violet gave everyone a choice.
Yeah.
I like
For
how
sure.
they did it. I
Through
think
their dragons.
Hmm?
I like through their dragons.
Yes, like we saw it it was in Fourth Wing when they showed the attack. And so I know it's not something that they do like all the time. It's done sparingly because it's usually reserved for mating bonds and whatever, but I think at that time it was quite necessary and everyone deserved to see, or the words just sound, when you don't trust somebody or have the connection that the squad had together to believe Violet and Xaden for the rest of Basgiath, like they needed to see it and then be able to make their choice from what they saw.
Yeah. I liked that. And then I liked them getting everything set up at Erasure and how they just immediately turned it into a college.
Even
Like
their own
It
college.
did
they just
feel a little chaotic at first
Because it
because
is.
it was a house. I know, but they made it work and it was really cool.
Yep. But the assembly is pissed.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even care.
And Darna's awake.
Yes. Yes. And then she can't bear a rider. She has a little small wing.
What was it, small, or it just can't open all the way? Because I read it as like it just couldn't extend all the
I
way.
imagined a little small wing like Nemo.
I know you did because you sent that as a reaction, and I was like, I did not picture that at all.
That's
Like
what I
I
imagined.
think it got injured when she caught Violet
Mm.
at the end of Fourth Wing.
I think wasn't it just like the shoulder muscles that weren't all the way developed? Like it's not size wise of the wing. It was
Yeah, I
just like
think
the
you're right.
muscle development.
But I
and
think
stuff.
it was because it was injured when she caught Violet at the
Probably.
end of Fourth Wing.
Probably.
And then our man Felix finally trying to teach Violet some control with
I
her
mean,
signet.
She needed
Freaking
it.
God, man.
finally, part 2. We're finally
God.
getting there.
Yeah.
Took us a while. And then, oh yes, and then I
Ooh.
love the way Violet set her foot down about going to get the luminary.
Mhm.
She was
Yes.
like,
I
"We're
don't care what
going."
he says. I'm going.
And then,
She had things to do.
and then we really get introduced to Kat.
And the little like show and tell, like
That was crazy.
The Venom in the
yeah.
box and the freaking what do you call it? Stadium that was
Yes.
built specifically to hold the Venom
Yes.
and watch for enjoyment. Like
What a
how
psycho.
fucked up.
And then the fact that it was just all 3 Soaringale
Oh,
siblings
Yeah.
that was
that
perfect.
fought him off. I thought that was so cute. So wholesome. And then again, Violet comes in clutch with her brain, using the water in the arena to electrocute the Venom.
Mhm.
And then they make the deal where the Flyers come back with them. And so we're introduced to more characters like Kat, Serena.
So we get a glimpse of Kat there in is it Cordier?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Cordier, I don't know. Where that's when she starts throwing those nasty little snide things about he won't like you in black in that dress, and he's taste me first and all that kind of stuff. And when I tell you my jaw hit the floor when she said these things.
Yeah.
100%.
The audacity.
No, she's crazy.
Exactly.
I think the biggest thing that she said while she was there was the whole like, you think you can keep him entertained or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was like, girl,
Mhm.
you don't even know her.
But this was an interesting development. I was really excited to see them come with them back to Erasure.
Yeah,
I
me
was
too.
like, let's
Yes.
add more to
Yeah.
the college. Let's diversify a little.
I like the runes. The runes.
I like
Runes,
the
yeah.
runes, yeah.
I said it wrong. The runes for the diversity, and that's why Xaden had given her the book of the fabric weaving to give her a head start. I
Mhm.
was very concerned. I had been wanting to know what the runes on her daggers meant for forever.
For a long
For a
time.
very long time. I was like, what do those mean? Because every time she would point out the runes on my dagger and this, that. Super cool to finally learn the protection that Xaden had given her all the way back in Fourth Wing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then,
Also,
Sorry.
on the journey, I mean, we get to hear more from Sloane and about how she doesn't hate Violet.
I know.
Growth.
She's
From the
starting to
letters.
soften.
Because of the
Get-
letters from Liam.
Mhm. She's learning about Violet and getting to know Violet through Liam, which we love Liam. So, and then I think Dane started trying to get back into Violet's good graces here too, like even further.
Can I tell you how scared I was? That was it Riddick?
It was Riddick.
When Riddick got the arrows in his side going up that pass.
Oh, I
That was
knew.
tough.
I was terrified.
I knew. I loved. Okay, can I just say I absolutely loved that when Brennan came to say to heal her or whatever, and she was like, "No, no, 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 I'm fine. Save Riddick. I'm gonna
Yeah.
deal with this.
Mhm.
I'm the only one who can."
Mhm.
Like it was just to me right there. I was like, "Oh, she's it. She's that bitch.
She's that
she's
bitch.
gonna like."
She's been that bitch.
She just
okay?
said, "Okay, there's a major problem going on. Y'all just stay there. I'll handle it." Like,
And she did not drop her. Can I just say?
Yeah.
oh my gosh, that
She
is no.
well.
Kat held on to that for way too long.
Quite
It
a
was-
while.
She held on to that way too long. It was absolutely great. This was my second reread, and I
Yeah.
still, when the wyvern came down and
Grab the body.
grabbed the body of
Yeah.
the griffin, I was like, "What the?"
I just imagine it as like a TV show and literally see just a face coming through
Yeah.
the mist. Like I can see it so clearly.
So
How
ominous.
lucky that
Mm.
the wyvern wanted a griffin snack instead of a
Mhm.
human snack.
Yeah.
And again, going back to like the water channel, like using her brain,
For the
getting
cloud.
all four of the wyvern in the clouds.
That was badass.
It
Like,
was
and
so
nobody talked about it. They were just like, "Oh, thanks for doing that."
Let's move on. Let's keep
Yeah,
walking.
I was like, I would have been
Keep
like,
on trekking.
"Holy."
No, I feel like it caught Kat's attention. Like, didn't she say like, "Oh shit, like you just did that"? I
Yeah,
feel like
she's
it did.
like, okay, sorry,
Mhm.
ma'am.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Mhm.
Well, this is also the part where both Hope and I started picking up on Andarna's scales.
Yes.
And how they were
Did you pick on the very
reflective.
first time that you read? Did you pick up on it too? Okay.
I would say I think they made it just the right amount obvious because we don't know anything about it, but we're recognizing this, and so it's even worse. It's kind of one of those worst case scenarios of like we know something's off about this,
Mhm.
but it's not too blatant. It's just like
But also,
sprinkled.
we don't know. Like, none of the dragons comment on it. So the only comments we're getting are from Violet, and we don't know what other adolescent dragons look like.
Yeah,
You
we're
know,
learning
we
this
don't
for
know.
the
Are they
first
all
time
kind of shiny at the beginning?
through
You know?
Violet.
Like
yeah.
a recently shed snake
Right.
who was like super
Yeah.
Exactly.
iridescent or whatever with
Exactly.
their scales.
But
No
when she
idea.
starts describing all the colors, and it's all the colors of the dragons,
I was
I
like,
was like,
I was
hmm.
picturing like a chameleon when she was coming off of the cliff wall there, where she was blended in like a boulder or whatever. I was like, oh crap! Is she like? At first I thought was she invisible.
Yeah.
At first, but then I was like, wait, no, she's just color shifting.
Yeah.
Did we ever find out what her true color is? Is it purple?
I don't
Or
think
was
so. I
it-
think we're gonna find out.
Yeah, I'm not 100%
We don't know
I was
yet.
gonna
sure.
say we never found out. I know she turned
Obviously-
purple there in the end in the
Obviously, I
tunnel.
think she can control it
Mhm.
because
She hides.
remember when she?
Oh,
no,
I
not
want to be
only
just like
that-
him.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
When-
I'm black because
yeah,
he's black,
yeah,
and I
when
want to
she
be just
said-
like him.
Yeah.
Oh,
When she-
that hurt.
Yeah.
Mm.
I so badly want to be like him.
Oh,
So sweet. I mean, me
She's
too.
perfect.
Taryn is
yeah.
amazing. I love him. I just love that he's so ride or die for Violet.
Mm-hmm.
He's
Mhm.
like, she's
He's like, I chose you.
I know.
You out, I'm out.
And when she has like her little moments of like insecurity, you know, and he's like, stop that. I
Mhm.
chose you for a reason, human.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I
Talking
love
about,
it.
I chose you for a reason. And we should have counted how many times he said that, because
It's been a lot.
It's been a lot.
yeah, I'd have to
Yeah.
And
use
it changes, like, the description or the characteristic changes every time, I think.
Mhm. Exactly. And then when um they're having strife between the riders and the flyer, and so they decide to do the challenges,
Yes.
and
Oh,
Kat challenges
yes.
Violet.
I wanted that so
That
badly.
sequence of scenes
Yes.
was amazing. We go from the challenge to the throne.
Yes.
You kidding me?
But can we just talk
Sorry,
about
going
how
back.
Kat was?
Throwing her power at
Not
Violet like that? What do you mean?
not
Wait, what?
only that, but her saying, like, some crazy stuff,
Her
like,
Yeah.
words.
"Oh, like, does it bother you to know that
Mhm.
I know what he tastes like?"
And everyone can hear it,
I know.
and he's there the whole time.
How embarrassing. I was embarrassed for her. I'd be like, "I don't even need to win this challenge because you just embarrassed yourself in front of everyone here." Who says that?
Absolutely love when Violet says, "You know what bothers me? That you're obsessed with fighting over a man."
That was stone
Honestly.
cold.
Favorite line though. Favorite line was Xaden's or yeah. So Violet says she only wants you for your name and your power.
Mhm.
And he says, and you love me in spite of it.
Yes, that was sweet.
Ugh.
Or also when they're fighting and Violet, like, comes to the realization and that she wanted him for the crown and everything, and
Mhm.
she's like, "He's not just a crown.
He's
He's
everything.
He's
everything."
everything to me.
They are so in love. Sickening.
Yeah, I was just thinking the dichotomy of saying, "He's just a man," and he's everything in like 2-page time span.
Yeah, that was so
Like,
Fighting
honestly, that's them, hot and cold.
fighting over just a man, and then yeah, he's
And
everything to me.
and the throne scene is so good.
There was
And the banter
there
in
was
that
so much revelation in
that
that.
chapter.
My
Yeah.
house, my
My
chair,
chair,
my woman.
woman.
Dear.
Okay, Xaden.
Oh gosh. And then after that scene, walking back out, and Violet goes, "That trick you mentioned?"
The
Thanks.
fingers.
Oh my
Back
god.
to Kat.
That was so
Honestly.
good. And
Ended
then
her right
I
there.
love that her squad was like, "Oh!" Like, everyone went crazy for it.
Can we go back to like all of Xaden's like revelation and praise, and not necessarily praise, but like him validating everything, all of the insecurities Violet was feeling there in that throne scene?
I know.
Because just his words, I mean,
What a man.
it was what a man.
He's just so
He's
good.
everything.
He's literally so perfect. Yeah, I love that. That was probably one of my favorite lines of the book.
Mhm.
"Oh, hey,
My
Kat,
gosh.
that trick
Yeah.
you mentioned?
Thanks.
Thanks."
And this is when we get like I got fully on board with like the Dane redemption tour because he heard Xaden's like proclamation of love.
Oh, yes.
And
Do
goes,
you
I
true
might be in love with him after that declaration.
That
Mhm.
was so
Mhm.
sweet.
Yeah, and then checking in of like, do you like truly love him?
Mhm.
And she's like, yeah, duh.
Then he's
And
like,
he's
"Then
like,
I'm in."
I'm gonna trust him just like you
Yeah.
do.
yep,
Then
that's all it takes.
that I was
And so he was a little jaded at the beginning. You know, he couldn't like always be on board with her. But I think he's seeing, you know, he's learning just like everyone else.
Yeah, for sure. And then I really felt bad for her the first time they tried to get the wards up and she got it wrong and she
Yeah.
beat herself up so badly about it. And it turns out it was
was the
just a
book that was
simple
wrong.
mistake. Well, not
Yeah.
only the book, but also the fact that she was reading Iron Rain and it's Iron Flame, like the dragons.
When I
Yeah.
read that, I was like, freaking duh. I was
Yeah.
stuck on like, what the heck is Iron
The
Rain
breath
gonna
and the
be the
blood
entire
and
time? I was
the
like, what is Iron
Mhm.
Rain? What is Iron Rain? I was thinking it could be blood because there's, the metal
Yeah.
in blood. I was thinking blood for some reason. But then when they said Iron Flame, I was like, oh, I
I
am
was like
so stupid. It's literally the name of the book.
yeah, I was like, "The team's gotta get together, do a blood drive really quick,
Yes.
and then we'll have these wards up."
Yeah,
Mhm.
no problem.
Just kidding.
And then, when she finally figures it out and they can get the wards up and she gives the Flyers a choice.
Yeah. She's like, I'm not sure if I should raise them."
Right.
Um,
I mean, to me, it was like I was like, "Duh, you have to raise them."
yeah.
Like, them being able to hold their power doesn't matter if the
It's
Venom
gonna
come.
if
And
it's
then
gonna protect them.
also
Yeah.
being honest when they were like, "Well, how long do we have to decide?" And she's like, "Well, second Xaden gets back here, I'm not gonna lie to him,
Yes.
so
That was sweet too.
second you see him flying on in here, give me your answer." So
Mhm. Oh, and then, when they're at, like, their version of squad games or whatever, war games or whatever, and Solus in the cave
Oh.
and Andarna kills him,
Mhm.
I didn't know it was, like, a big deal to kill another dragon
no, I
because
didn't
Terrence
either.
threatened it multiple times
Yeah, but
Yeah.
he's Terran.
with Bade and with Solus.
Soulless.
But yeah, they said now she has a heavy mark on her soul.
I
Oh,
But he
poor
was a
girl.
mean
he
dragon.
was real mean.
I don't think it should be as it shouldn't be as heavy as
Mhm.
like, he deserved it.
And
But
then
that's where we found out a couple things. You know, we have Sloane's is a siphon and Darna's fireproof. Is
they
that a
all
normal
are.
thing?
Yeah.
They all are?
Yeah. The
Okay,
reason
well,
they dodge out of the way of flames is because of the riders. They cover that
that
in the
does
first book.
make
Yeah.
sense. Okay.
All dragons are
Putting it together
Mhm.
now,
Yes,
got it.
yes.
And then a lot of Cat and Violet moments.
yes, some redemption there,
Mhm.
which I don't know. Those comments that Kat made were just way out of pocket. I can't get over
Yeah.
them.
I mean, they're not best buds yet. I don't know if they will be anytime soon, but
I mean, they
I
should be.
definitely yeah.
There was a comment. Never mind. Keep going.
Okay. Okay, this is when we get into the part where Xaden and her have the conversation in his bedroom, where the armoire, like, thing that her and Imogen talked about gets brought back up.
Mhm.
If there's an axe that flies out of the armoire.
Mhm.
And this is when I was getting so mad at him because I went on this tangent because she was stating some facts
Mhm.
and like of her having to ask for the questions when she just wanted honesty out of him because from the very beginning from fourth wing she was like telling him how she felt like being as honest as possible like she was having to work so hard and so it just felt like a whole like time wasting puzzle for her.
Mhm.
And then he called her love. And I was like, you got me feeling so many different things. I'm mad at you. And I'm like, oh, that was like so soft and sweet.
But I mean, I get what he was saying too, like him
Mhm.
saying, "Okay, but even if you know there's battle axes in the closet or whatever, but you know that I will never let them hurt you, are they really a threat if they
Yeah.
will never cut
Also, there
you?"
were so many times when she set expectations of like, I'm so deep in this with you. If I just knew everything, like, why don't you trust me enough to know that I'm not going to run because I see an axe in the armoire? You know, like she proved it time and time and again.
That's
And
true.
then, ugh,
That is true. I really don't understand Xaden's hang up about not telling her everything. I'm wondering if there's more.
Oh,
well, the
there
signet,
probably
the
is.
second signet.
Yeah, but
He
you could
like,
explain
but
the
he truly
rebellion.
thought that you're gonna fall out of love with me in a second.
That's true.
It took less than a minute.
That hurt when he was saying
He
that.
truly felt I think that's what it was.
His own insecurities.
Mhm.
He was terrified of losing her.
So true.
Yeah.
There
poor man has no one. I mean, he has his friends. He has Bodhi, he has Garrick, he has Imogen.
Yeah.
He has these people that are loyal to him, but beyond that, he has no one. Like,
Never been taken care of.
He's always
No.
taking care of them, and he is held in like their leadership
exactly.
position. And I feel like Violet, in a way, he holds as his equal.
Yeah. Like,
Like,
Yeah,
yes,
he
he wants to
truly
protect her and stuff, but
Mhm.
they can get better in communication.
He truly thought,
Mhm.
"The second you find out, you'll fall out of love with me in a heartbeat."
I know.
Like, and you can tell that he meant it too. It hurted.
It
Like, it
hurted.
hurt.
Yeah. Oh, he's an intrinsic, by the way. Ha 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 ha.
I was scrolling through my notes. I didn't have them up this whole time.
Mhm.
I was scrolling through. There were a couple of things that I wanted to touch on that we skipped back from, like the whole cave scene when Solus was there.
Yeah.
So before Solus showed up, and they're talking about second signets only showing up in direct familial lines,
Mhm.
and how you can get a second signet or it can drive you mad.
Mhm.
I didn't take it as one or the other at the time, and I was really freaking out because I was like, what if Satan's second signet drives him mad? And I thought that was going to be the end of the book, was like him going mad.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so that kind of scares me, obviously, for Violet too, of like,
A second signet.
Yeah.
Exactly.
well, and also the fact that if she is intrinsic, she will feel as though she's going mad.
But her second signet, no. Because her second signet will be from a second dragon, not because
Oh yeah,
she's
Familial
bonded
line.
to
but
a
that's
dragon
never
from her
happened
familial line.
before. So truly,
I think she'll be fine.
I think she will too. But I wonder, like, what the disaster will be. Like, something will come up when it starts to manifest.
That's why I'm thinking she's going to be intrinsic.
Yeah.
It's got to be something like that.
And to clarify, he is like partially intrinsic. Like he can read intentions.
A type of intrinsic.
Yes. So
There was also a mention of the ward stone looking like onyx that I caught.
yeah.
And I just wondered, like, do they really know? Like, is it iron? Like polished iron? Or is it like an onyx stone? I was thinking going into Onyx Storm now that we know.
Yeah.
Maybe it has something to do with the wards. I don't know.
Unclear. But the names so far of both books have meant something very big in the book. So I'm sure
Yeah.
Onyx Storm will mean something.
Yeah.
But also, okay, I want to hop back in. Also, when he's like freaking out because he's like, "Yep, less than a minute, you fell out of love with me," and she's like, they are about to have to potentially run into some wyvern and some venom. She says, "My love isn't fickle," and it's like, let's make sure these wards are holding up.
Yeah. That was good.
Not fickle.
I like that she admitted to herself, like, pretty much nothing is going to stand in the way of her loving Xaden. Like, she can be mad at him and she can admit that, but she's going to love him no
It just
matter
took
what.
her almost 2 books to like fully admit it to herself.
Yeah.
She fought it, but she loves him.
And then the wards are up. They think everything is great with the wards, except for the Flyers can still use their powers. So something's not going right.
Something's finicky.
It's gonna miss.
Yes.
It's gonna awry in some way.
And then they meet with, Melgren and their mom. And their mom sees Brennan for the first time.
She was shocked.
I felt bad for her in that moment because Brennan was like, "Screw you, Mom," and she's like, "Oh, you're alive?"
Yeah, very self-righteous.
Yes.
Coming from him,
I
but we
know.
don't know a lot of what's going on. Like that's the piece that is so like in the dark a little bit. So we don't know why he's so mad at her.
And then, the way Violet catches on to everything, she's so smart. I just love that she just figures it out every time.
Constantly putting puzzle pieces
She's
together.
just so good. And then I don't even understand how it was a debate of going to Basgiath to save the hatching ground or not. Like, it was
The only right move.
the only right move. Like,
I
why
agree.
would you not have done that? They literally said before that if they get to the hatching ground, like,
It's
they
over.
have all this power that they can channel and it's done.
Yeah.
And yet you were willing to risk it? Like, even if we weren't sure, you were willing to risk it? No.
Yeah, and Mrs. Yarros over here was trying to get us to think that Xaden wasn't like on board either. Like he was just kind of silent in that moment. And we got to find out in the very next chapter that it was like obviously he's voting to help, like he's voting to go.
Yeah,
so.
he did a snide little comment like, I got outvoted. Like, that was not my vote.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And in this same like kind of space of time, I put a note. I was like, okay, so now he's all for this total honesty pact because he's asking for total and complete honesty. And I was like, oh my gosh, men.
Men
for real. So they fly to Basgiath,
Mm-hmm.
and they get there, and everyone's like, we need to check the wards, and
there's not many people there because
Yes,
they're all in
because
Samara.
they're on Samara, and the mom is like, okay, like,
Go
let's
check
go
the
check the wards. Like, y'all are acting crazy. So
Yeah.
let's go look at them.
Fine.
And then, boom, the wards are down.
Fucking
Jack.
Jack
Jade's
Barlow.
dead. Jack's alive. So much happened.
He
So,
killed Bade. Like,
Is the blood from Bade, is that what extinguished the wards?
yes.
Okay.
I think that's probably what had to happen, I'm assuming. Because otherwise, why would you kill your dragon?
And was she under like some sort of spell or
That's
something?
what-
Because her eyes weren't gold. They were described as opaque.
That's what I'm thinking, that he was like controlling her.
Yeah.
Which, if that is true,
If you can control dragons.
if that's true, Onyx Storm is about to be a scary place to be.
Yeah, especially if there's all these undercover like venom riders.
Yeah.
So we just got to be on the lookout for opaque eyes.
Yeah.
Got it.
For real.
Red-rimmed, opaque. We're on the lookout for
Any
everything.
kind of weird description of eyeballs, I'm going to be paying attention to, okay?
Probably. And then we
means
get the big
something.
reveal. Jack turns venom, and then we, recognize that he's probably been that way for a while.
And he's like, I'll never know why it's you he wants.
yeah.
What the fuck makes you so special? I mean, she's Violet. Hello.
Yeah.
She's special. But in the moment when I was reading it, I was like, is he talking about the sage or is he talking about Xaden?
Mhm.
Because
I was thinking the sage.
special to both.
Yeah, because I was like, is it the same, person or the same one that we saw in Resson?
Mm-hmm.
And in the nightmares.
Yeah, exactly. And then Brennan and the first years and the Flyers show up.
Thank goodness.
Hey, the gang's all here.
And then immediately when Violet's like, can you mend other things besides people?
I never even thought
I never
about
even
that.
thought about that either. I was like, oh my gosh, that's such a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
Then I was like, where's Nolan? He could be helping. Yes.
True.
Who knows?
Why didn't we get
Off
both of
hiding?
them on that? Anyway.
I don't know.
But that was amazing. So smart of her.
Quick thinking.
I was like, oh, the wards are done. Like, we're going to have to figure something else out. I
Yeah.
was immediately like, we're done. Okay.
Yeah.
It's over.
And then at this point, we have our one night to sleep before the battle. And I swear, moving on from this point on, every chapter, I'm like, oh my gosh, is this person going to die? Oh my gosh, this person.
Rebecca Yarros can't be trusted.
Not in the
freaking out
last
about
100 pages.
Justinia, about Riddick, about Sawyer.
I was so
Reed.
scared about
They tried to
Riddick.
scare us about everyone.
They did. Everyone had a scare.
Mhm.
Yep.
Everyone did. I when I was reading this, and I really liked the way they set up the attack,
Mhm.
in the grids and everything. It was
Yes.
smart.
Yes.
Smart.
It was smart because they were right. Like, if they didn't stick to their grids, if they chased after wyvern and just one target at a time, it would have turned into a melee that no one could keep track of. Like,
Yeah.
the grids was such a smart idea.
And I loved how they gave Violet her time before the dragons took off.
To get as many down as she could.
Because once the dragon, because
They know she can't control it. Sorry, girl.
And
Wish
I
you
feel
can't.
like she got better.
Yeah.
She was getting better. She did get a
She
few.
took
got
out
some
quite a
strength.
few. I mean, she wasn't just it was not like Resson at all. I was
I
very
would say they
impressed
wouldn't
by
have
her.
done that if they didn't trust her to, be
Yes.
able to make some sort of
I
difference.
also love that her mom, like, conjured the storm
To make it easier
just to
for
make
her.
it easier for her to call the lightning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't like she was pulling it from nothing.
Yes.
I don't like that it didn't allow the Griffin, the riders, the flyers, not to be able, but I think that they were really useful getting the injured off the
Yeah,
field.
I thought it was good because I mean, let's be honest,
They
the
do.
dragons and everything are stronger,
But they have more experience in the hand-to-hand combat against the Venom.
which is why they should be on the ground
I guess. Yeah.
because hand to hand.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
I loved the 10-second countdown during the whole fight. Like
was
the
sick.
play-by-play, like
Yeah.
each second of what is going down, just showing you how quickly
Things are
things are
happening.
moving. Like 1 second, and these are paragraph descriptions of what's happening in each second. That
And
was
in the
so cool.
audiobook,
Uh-huh.
she is rambling. She is going fast.
She was.
She picked up her speed, and I could feel it. My heart rate was up.
We were going.
It was
For
increasing.
those who listened to the last episode and this is my first audiobook I've listened to, I gave up on the audiobook. I stopped listening to it and started reading. I just don't think I'm an audiobook girl.
And that's okay.
But
we all read our own ways.
Had said that I couldn't get up past 1.5, and I can say that I was listening to the rest of this audiobook up to 2.
Improvements.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, for most of this fight scene, I also kind of struggled to like picture all of it, but I know the main points. I mean, Ree jumped and was helping on Taryn.
That was very parallel to Liam, which scared me.
But she's such a badass. Like,
She does it so
I
effortlessly.
love Ree. I love her so much. I think she's such a good friend. She's such a good writer. She's such a good leader. Like, she's there for all of her friends, all of her people. She gets her job done. She's just so good. I love her. So I wasn't even scared. I was like, oh, hell yeah. Violet can't even get out of her belt, and Ree's like, I gotcha.
Yeah, don't worry.
Yeah, she's like, no big deal.
I mean, when it came down to it, for Violet to save, was it Sawyer?
It was Sawyer.
That
And
was cool.
She got out and she did the running landing and she jumped across
And Taryn was pissed.
the wyvern and onto the dragon.
I thought Sawyer was gonna die, y'all.
Mhm.
I thought Sawyer and Riddick were going down.
So did I. And I was like, they cannot take both of them.
Started crying, and I don't think I stopped until the end of the book.
Yeah.
From that point, like, obviously on my reread, I knew they weren't gonna die, but when it took Sawyer's leg, I was like, he's dead. Which in reality, he probably would have been. Like, do you know how fast people bleed out?
Shark attacks.
Yeah,
people survive.
That's true. But and then when they got to the ground, when she saved him, she caught him first of all. Then she got to the ground. I just thought it was so badass when she took Sawyer and rolled off of the dragon.
Yeah,
and they were falling, and
then
again,
Andarna caught her. Was it Andarna?
It was Taryn.
Taryn caught them. Sorry.
Yeah, it was Taryn.
Yeah.
And then they get down on the ground and she's like, we promised we were gonna make it to graduation. You have to wake up. You have to wake up. And Sawyer like opens his eyes.
And that's another thing. She's commanding him to wake up and
shut up. They're gonna make it to graduation now. That gives me hope.
Oh gosh.
If Violet says
They're gonna do what they
it
can.
must be true.
But now they're on the ground.
Yes. Oh, and then Kat comes.
Yep. And so does the Venom. And they're on the ground. But she says the Venom that's on the ground that confronts her is like, he wants you alive.
Yeah.
But why?
That's true, but why?
Why?
And then this is also when we find out about Andarna, because we run into Jasenia, right? And we realize that we need a 7th.
Well, not only that, but now we know that Andarna can breathe fire. Because before she couldn't, and then she incinerated that venom, and she was blended into the cliff and everything as well. Came out.
So a little less.
So it's becoming more and more obvious.
Yes.
That something's up with Andarna, and she's obviously super powerful. And then Jasenia says it's 7. And Violet's like, obviously, because she's the queen, she's that bitch. She's
Piecing
like,
it
oh, I
together.
got it. Okay, we need 7. We have 7. Again, I know I already said this, but I loved the fact that she gave Xaden a choice.
Yes.
Like, I can only raise the wards one place. Where do you want them, here or Eratia? And he's like, wherever you are. You're here. This place is better for you. Raise them here. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh.
What a team.
I also I found it very, because at this point we didn't know, but it's like the sage wasn't just waiting for Violet. He was waiting for Xaden too.
Mm-hmm. And then Xaden just took him on by himself
Yeah.
to give Violet time.
The scene where we get inside his head when he's fighting him alone.
Also,
Ouch.
like, even just in that chapter, I think we're in chapter 64, where when we get a Liam letter at the top of the chapter,
Yeah,
Yep.
that was.
then we get Violet knowing all the first year's names,
Yeah.
which we've talked about, and then we get a Violet and Andarna heart to heart of Andarna saying, like, I knew that you were going to be for me. You would have the mind of a scribe and the heart of a writer. You would be mine. You are as unique as I am.
It's like, and she waited how long? It's over 600 years.
Yes, she waited until her
Yeah.
18th summer, is what she says, to come, like, until Violet turned 18, so that she could.
Yes, but like
hatch.
650 years, and
And then it makes
waited
you look,
specifically for her.
it makes you look back at threshing and, like, in a whole different light.
Yes,
like,
it does.
when I go back for a reread, I'm going to be paying attention to that.
Or even the fact that Andarna was there during when they go around and they look at all the dragons, because she was just so excited. I can just picture Andarna being like, there she is, there's my rider, here she comes, like, I can see her, like,
That's so adorable.
Yeah.
She knew exactly what she was doing.
yeah. And then
That's when we have Violet trying to get the wards back up.
Yeah, and she mentions how she can feel the power beneath her and how easy it would be to call on it to fill the ward stone.
Which is why I'm saying, like, it should have been both of them.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's it.
But then Mama
And then Mama
Sorengale.
Sorengale stepped in.
And the whole time she's just trying to, she comes in and she's like, what is everybody's signets? Finds the siphon in the room and is like, convinces her to do it. Like, Sloane doesn't want to do it, and she's like, no, I'm bad. I've done all these bad things. Like, it's okay. I've done all these bad things. I could have stopped your brother's death. I could have ended it if I had just listened, if I had just figured it out. Like, it's my fault he's dead. Like, she's trying
to anger her.
And what's crazy in that moment is that Sloane wasn't buying it. Like, she wasn't doing it. She wasn't rising to the occasion. The second that Violet said Xaden's dying.
Yes.
Sloane was like, okay, I have to.
I'm in.
I mean, and at the beginning of that chapter, the recovered correspondence of General Lilith Sorengale, where she says, most generals dream of dying in service to their kingdom, but you know me better than that, my love. When I fall, it will be for one reason only, to protect our children.
Ouch.
And she did.
But when she was dying, you're everything we dreamed you would be, all three of you, and I'll get to see him soon.
I know. That's why I'm like, I don't believe
it was real.
How can you revere one parent and hate the other when they both just were doing the best that they could? Like, they couldn't outright come out and say it. So Violet's dad communicated with her through the texts and through the archives and things like that. And Violet's mom did what she could do by making sure they were prepared to fight.
And I just think about, like, Violet has, like, the best parts of both of them.
Yes.
I know.
Yes.
And so Mama Sorengale, she says, live well.
I think Mira is more like Mama Sorengale and Brennan is more like Dad.
Yeah.
and Violet is
And then Brennan
pregnant
acting
one.
like he's so sad when he was so mean to her. I didn't like
Well,
that.
I think he
I'm
thought
sure I'll give him the benefit of the doubt
I think
when
he
we hear
may
more,
have
but
thought he would have had time
Yeah.
to rekindle their
Well, don't we
relationship.
always? We always think we have more
Yeah.
to be a little bit more mad for a little bit longer,
Yeah.
you know. Okay, and then
The wards are up.
the wards are up.
And we run back to Xaden to make sure he's okay.
Because you're hearing thud, thud, thud. All of them dead. They fall.
Yeah, they're all
Yeah.
dying.
Yep.
They haven't laid eyes on Xaden.
I know. We run up to him and he's not facing us. He's looking
Well, we
down.
run up to Sigale,
Oh yeah.
and Sigale says, "Be careful of your words."
She's pissed.
Oh my gosh.
She is pissed.
And then he's like not looking at her. I caught that right away.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, why is he not looking at her? Why is he not looking at her?
Huh.
And then when he looks at her, when she says, oh my gosh, when she says, what's out there that I should be scared of, Xaden? What did he tell you? What did you see? And he turns around and he says, me. You should be scared of me.
Ouch, ouch, ouch,
Just
ouch.
imagine the heartbreak in that moment. He knows what's happened. He knows what that means in some ways, and he doesn't in other ways. And so the unknown of that is like devastating.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, what tipped me off at first, he's like, this is where we should be, under the full wards. And I was like, but what do you mean under the full wards? You're not going to go back to Erasure with the rebellion?
I don't know what they're going to do. They can't.
No, it sounds like they're going to stay.
They're going to have to stay at Basgiath because that's where the wards are.
To control him. Yeah, they're going to have to.
I mean,
are they going to move Erasure there?
I mean, at this point, it's just a place. You know what I mean? Like, all the people are at Basgiath. My thing is, are we going to be, like, working with Colonel Melgren now? Like, is he going to give up Basgiath to them? Or, you know what I mean? Or is he going to become another enemy because...
the power dynamics are going to be crazy.
They are. They're going to be crazy.
Staying. They have to feel comfortable enough to stay.
Especially...
And I think that's the intention.
Especially
so how do they set that up?
Yeah, especially without Violet's mom.
Mm-hmm.
Now to like help
Who's
mitigate.
gonna be the new?
Hope we don't get another Varish. But then we get the last chapter, which is Xaden's point of view about how it happened and everything. And I thought it was weird that it skipped because then he wakes up and they're just sleeping together, like everything's fine.
Yeah. I was like, okay, so she's okay with it.
And
I was very confused, like where that time went.
Yeah, so I'm curious of where we'll pick back up in Onyx Storm. Like, will it be right away, or will it be?
We'll be back in her point of view for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Jack Barlow's little comment about, oh, welcome to the family. We're brothers now.
And that there's no cure.
Yeah, I don't believe a word that comes out of his fucking mouth.
One of my predictions is Violet is going to go deep dive again. Like, she's looking for the wards, but looking for a cure.
Yeah.
I mean, she's a book girly.
There's no way.
Let her read.
There's no way. I don't know if y'all have noticed. I mean, this isn't a spoiler. It's on the back of the Onyx Storm book. So if you haven't gotten your Onyx Storm book, you know, maybe skip this part. Skip ahead a few seconds.
But I'm ready.
It just, because on the top 2 of Iron Flame and Fourth Wing, it says Violet's like saying, I will not die today. That is marked out. And under it, it says, I will save him.
I have so many thoughts and theories.
One of the lines at the very end in Xaden's POV before we go to theories was from Scale, where she says, but I chose you.
Oh, yeah.
And he says, but she chose me too. And that breaks my heart for Scale.
It's sad to me. I feel bad for her because her rider chose Violet. Yes. Her mate chose Violet.
Yes, that's
like he's choosing that when Violet dies, he's gonna follow her.
It's devastating.
That's
like, what is that gonna do to her in Onyx Storm?
Yeah.
How is she gonna? Okay.
That would hurt for sure.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we're not going to get too far into our theories for Onyx Storm, because I think that we've also kind of trickled some in throughout our recap. But one that I just wanted to share with Alyssa and Hope has to do with Imogen's signet. Like, I just feel like in order to just maybe keep Violet safe or something, there's going to be some sort of miscommunication, and Xaden's going to want to distance himself. And so with Imogen's signet of, wiping memory, I'm scared. I'm very scared. And so I think that leads to just, I don't know. I thought of it when we were talking about songs that connect. And so I thought about like The Great War by Taylor Swift. And in the bridge, she says something about memories.
Yeah.
I was like, I hope that that's not the case, because that would feel like a betrayal. So
that would be a very, very big betrayal.
Yeah. So I'm very scared for Onyx Storm, but I'm also very excited.
I'm intrigued by the title of Onyx Storm. I mean, we have Onyx, dark, black shadows. That's all Xaden. And then Storm, we have the lightning and the ferocity of Violet. And so I think it's going to be a culmination of both of them and how they're going to be able to work together.
I really just hope that this can be solved in the next book.
Gosh, I want it to be solved in the first chapter.
I think that's not likely. I think that's a big ask, but
yeah,
I want them so badly to solve it.
Yeah, well, we will just have to keep on with our journey, moving forward. But that's going to be it for our recap of Iron Flame. We want to thank everyone for joining us while we shared our thoughts on the book. We'd love if you let us know your thoughts and if you agree or disagree with any of our feelings that we shared. Also, keep an eye out on our Instagram at Totally Booked Readers to see our individual Onyx Storm bingo cards, where we each predicted what we might see while reading book number 3 in the Empyrean series.
Also, follow us on all our socials so you can stay up to date on our most recent episodes and releases. And take some time out of your Totally Booked schedule to join us next Tuesday for our Galentine's themed episode.
If you wanna. Okay, bye!
Bye, y'all!